Hi guys, and welcome to this ARC workshop. You're very welcome to my studio. Today we are going to do a workshop based on my favorite thing, which you might know already, which is animals. Absolutely. And even more favorite would be animal transformation stories. An A4 piece of card, any color. An A4 piece of paper, any color, a scissors, and a stapler or tape or a glue stick, and then something to draw with. So, a few days ago, I was swimming in the Irish Sea, and if you've swam in the Irish Sea before, you know it is very cold. But I was out in Wicklow, in the harbour there. It's very still sometimes. So the water was like just completely still, not a ripple, not a wave. The sky itself was still, big blue sky, and everything was quiet. And in the very distance, I could see there was some children jumping off a pier into the water. But apart from that, it was just me and the still sea, or so I thought. Well, didn't I just look to my side? I got a funny feeling, and I saw this pair of big brown eyes just peeping above the water and having a look at me. And you know, I wasn't even a little bit afraid, because there was something about the eyes that felt so wise and so kind. I wonder, do you know what it was that was looking at me? Well, do you know, at first, I thought, is that a dog? It had kind of that kind of face. But then I realised, oh no, I'm in the water. It's you might have guessed it, a seal. So the seal was sat there completely still, just watching me. And I continued to swim around, and every day I'd look over, and there it was, just watching. And it felt really magical. And it reminded me of stories I had heard about the Selkie people or the seal people. I wonder, have you heard these stories? Well, hundreds of years ago, there were people that lived not just in Ireland, but you hear in Scotland, in Wales, Iceland, Denmark. So the story goes. And these people, they had the magical ability to be just people on the land, but seals in the water. And how did they do it? They had a special seal skin coat, like this one here. And it was very precious to them. And when they were on the land, they had to hide it away. But when they wanted to get into the water, they would put on their seal skin and wrap it around themselves. And when they touched the water, they would transform into a seal and swim off to the seal kingdom to be with their seal family. There's plenty of stories of people who try to take the seal skin and to try and become seals themselves, and it never really works out very well for them. So I was thinking about this, I saw the seal and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm just full of ideas now. I want to write some stories and do some pictures. But I thought I'll look this up online, and when I did, I found that there was just so many stories in Ireland of animal transformations. And I'm going to tell you a few of my favourite ones that I found now, so that we can get loads of inspiration and ideas for our workshop. So back a few hundred years ago, there's an area that was called the Kingdom of Ossory, which is where you'll now find County Kilkenny and County Laois. So they're in the middle of Ireland. And this was a great kingdom. And there was a man called Gerald of Wales, who was from Wales. You might have made that connection. And he came to visit Ireland. He was walking through the woods and taking in all the sights and getting to learn about the land and the people, when suddenly, out of nowhere, a pair of wolves jumped out and surrounded him, and he thought, oh my gosh, I am done for, I'm done for. He fell to his knees. He knew that he couldn't run. There was nothing he could do. The wolves were too fast, too smart, too strong. And he covered his face, and then the next thing was he heard a voice, and it said, hello. And he looked, and the wolves were speaking with human voices. And he learned from these wolves that this area called the Kingdom of Ossory was a wolf kingdom. So the people there could turn themselves from people into wolves and back into people again. And so they'd turn themselves into wolf to go wolfing, and they'd go hunting for food. They'd bring it back home, turn into people, have a great banquet, a great party. And there's lots of stories and poems and illustrations and all kinds of things about this kingdom. And this brings us on to another story. So unlike the seal people and the wolf people, sometimes turning into animals isn't exactly a choice. And you might have heard of the Children of Lear. Do you know the story? Well, just briefly, it really is a story it's what's quite a sad story, really. There's 4 children and they're greatly loved by their father, but they get a stepmother who becomes very jealous of them, and she's not nice at all. She's quite cruel, and she turns them into swans out of jealousy. And they turn into swans and they have no choice about it. And they live as swans. They can fly and they can do all the things that swans do, but they're no longer human children. And people know that there's something special about these swans because when they go to the lake where they're living, they can hear them sing with human voices. So they can't speak, but they can sing with human voices. So that everybody knows that there's something special about those swans. And there's a second part to it, which is that these swans live for 900 years. And that's another common piece in these stories of human-animal transformations. Often the people, when there's animals, can live for a really, really long time. And the spell for the Children of Lear is finally broken by the tolling, the ringing of a special bell that breaks the spell, and they're able to turn back to human. So that's another magical element. How did they turn back to humans? Well, it was through a magic sound. So now the question is, after all of that, if you could turn into an animal, what animal would you choose to be? What life would you like to see, to understand? And what perspective would you like to experience? Well, I've heard lots of suggestions before between seals and wolves and all the things we've been looking at, but also dinosaurs, unicorns, Pegasus, all these kinds of animals. Or you might choose, like some people did, an ant, a spider, an animal that's so wildly different to the experiences that we have. Have a think about it. What animal would you like to become? Maybe you'd like to become an animal like one of your pets so that you guys could be friends and hang out and speak together. Maybe. There's just so many possibilities. And then the next thing you need to decide is not only what animal do you become, but how does it happen? Is it that you come from an animal family like the Selkie or seal people in the wolf kingdom, where they come from a long line of wolf people or seal people, and they have the choice to move in between being a person and an animal? Or is it through a magic spell like the Children of Lear, where someone else has put this spell on you, or maybe you've asked for the spell to be put on you and you become an animal? Do you become an animal out of necessity? Did something happen that makes you think, I'm going to turn into an animal? And then you need to figure out, how long do you stay as an animal? Do you stay for an animal for a really long time and gain lots of wisdom and knowledge? Or do you just do it for a little while and then go back to being a human and you're happy with that? So lots to think about. Now that we have so much inspiration, so much in our heads, bubbling ideas, and lots to get out in terms of drawing and stories, what would we do with it? Well, I was thinking we would make books, animal transformation books of our special story. And you can see in these ones, I've done one where I become a seal, one where I become a bird, one where I become a wolf. So you can start and then you can keep making all kinds of stories. I'll show you this one. This was my first go, and I decided after seeing the seal when I was in Wicklow that I would do that story. So the story I tell is actually the real story of being in Wicklow and seeing this pair of eyes peering at me from above the water. But then I take it in a bit of a magical direction. I wish this had happened. The seal starts to sing a magical song and I start to transform into a seal. I go down to the seal kingdom and they tell me all their knowledge and wisdom and stories and humor and all their different seal lives and things that happen down in the water, and I get to learn so much and I have a great time. And then they teach me the special seal song so that I can turn myself into a seal whenever I like and go visit them again. So that was my first go. And you'll see I did a mixture of writing and drawing. You might decide to do lots and lots and lots of writing or lots and lots and lots of drawing. It is completely up to you. In the wolf story, it's at night time. I can just magically turn myself into a wolf anytime I like. So I do it loads, and I go to see my wolves pretty much every night. That's a very different story. And then in my bird story, the magic comes through a magic feather that is given to me by one of my bird friends. So you need to figure out what is your story going to be. And you might know all the answers yet. Sometimes through making the story, you start to find the answers. So while you guys are thinking and chatting about what you're going to do, I'm going to get my materials together and I'm going to show you how to make your special animal transformation book. So to make your book, the first thing you're going to do is take your A4 piece of card, fold it in half, and then fold it in half again and try and match up all the edges. And just like that, you've got your book cover. So we'll put that to the side. And what you're going to do next is get your A4 piece of paper. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to fold that in half and fold it in half again. Exact same as the cover. And then you open it out and you'll see that you have 4 sections, and we're going to cut out each section to make a separate piece of paper. So you'll end up with 4 pieces of paper. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we have all these pages. And you'll notice that these 4 pages will fit perfectly into your book. So there's your cover and your pages are sitting just inside there. Now we're going to stick the pages in. If you've got a stapler, this is really simple. You're going to get your stapler and do a staple twice on the top so that you attach them there. If you have tape or glue, and I'm going to use glue to show you, you're just going to stick in each individual page by putting a little bit of tape or glue on the top here. So there is 1 page stuck in, 2 pages stuck in, and if it's tape you're using, it's the exact same. You're just sticking in each page individually just to the top of your cover. 1 single strip of glue or 1 piece of tape. And just like that now, I have my 4 pieces inside my book. Now it is time for you to do the really fun bit, which is you've made your book, you have your pages stuck in, you can start designing your story. So you could do a cover, then on the inside you can do some writing if you like, or just do all drawing to tell your story and what animal you turned into, how you turned into an animal, and what happened to you while you're an animal. Did you gain wisdom and knowledge, or what happened? So now it's your turn to do your story. So I've done a seal story, a wolf story, and a bird story, and I'm going to use this time to do another one here. And I think that I'm this time going to be an insect. So for this story, I'm going to turn myself into a caterpillar. So big caterpillar eyes, and then my head is in there with my eyes looking out. Big long caterpillar body. Loads of legs. And my arms are just down my side like this, inside my caterpillar body. And my feet are pushed up like that. So here I am inside a caterpillar, my magical caterpillar story. I'm going to draw lots of leaves around because I'm living in a tree or a bush, I think. And some flowers. And then inside, I'm going to tell the story of the day I became a caterpillar. One day I was sitting, it was a nice day, and I was watching a caterpillar and I gave it a flower to eat. And something magical happened between us. And to thank me, the caterpillar turned me into a caterpillar too. Here I am turning into a caterpillar. Magical. Shape starting to form. And as caterpillars, we went into cocoons, slept on a big branch one night, sleeping away there. And we woke up out of our cocoons and we had turned into butterflies. And we were able to sing and dance. And then finally, I turned back to a human. But from that day on, I could speak and sing to butterflies. And I think I'm just going to keep on working on these and making more and more ideas and more books. And you guys, if you are inspired to, could do the same. I hope you can get on with your projects and your stories and your pictures and share them with your friends and your family. And if you can, share them with the ARC, because it is absolutely wonderful to see what you guys are working on, what ideas you come up with, and we can inspire each other by sharing our work. Okay, so thank you for joining me in the studio today, and have a great time making your stories and your pictures and your books. See you later. Bye.